Okay, hey guys, in this tutorial we're going to be building the latest front-end mentor challenge, which at this point is this front-end mentor challenge. So if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Let's get onto the video. So why would you want to subscribe? Because this is a channel for teaching front-end web development. So this challenge was a little bit more difficult than it looks, because it has drop downs on the navbar, as you can see, drop downs. And you can see when I refresh it, it has this kind of easing animation, as you can see. And I'll even show you how to make that animations as well as keyframes. And let's check the responsivity of this website. So this website is deadly responsive. So let's look at it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to set, so as you can see, if we reduce the width to a normal laptop, as you can see, this how it looks, then when we go small, you can see it shrinks there. Let's look at it again. It shrinks. Okay, then as we go smaller, it comes into the mobile view, and as you can see, we can come here like this, and the navbar slides in, and you can have pixels, or maybe 340 pixels, 320 pixels are still small screens, but as you can see, everything's black, and we still have the drop downs here, as you can see. And these drop downs are only CSS, so they're just only CSS. Okay, thank you guys. Let's get on with building this. This video might be a long video, so you can get some water and let's start building it. So there's a live URL in the description down below. There's the starter files and there's the final files. So this is the final files. What I have here is the starter files. So if you download the starter files, this is what you will get. So what you will get is that a style guide for the color, the readme, nobody cares about that one, then an index or HTML, as well as the images and the design. So if we remove the style attribution, which we don't need, the first thing now we're going to do, the most complicated thing on this website is the navbar. So let's start with the navbar. With the navbar, what we're going to do is that we're going to have a brand, and this brand, we're going to have a brand, and this brand is normally an anchor tag. I just like to follow. These are just standards I just made up myself from like something like Bootstrap or something. So the brand is the name of the image, the name of the service. So in this case, the name of the service is Snap, as you can see. So the image is going to be /images/ and its icon dash logo. Okay, wait, we can always check inside the images. So let's see, look for its icon, because that thing is not ordinary text, it is a logo. So give me a sec here, guys. Okay, let me check. Okay, its icon is logo.svg, not just logo.xvg. Sorry guys. So logo.svg. Then let's maybe later okay, let's just put an alt logo. So now that we have the brand, next thing I want to do is the hamburger navigation. So we're gonna have, I'm just gonna give this short for ham. So the hamburger navigation by default, note that it's also gonna have a display of none. This is gonna go to nowhere, and it's gonna be image. And you know that there are two navigations, and the other one is for the mobile nav. So there are two navs. There's the desktop nav and the mobile nav. So the mobile nav is also gonna have a display of none by default. So icon menu.svg. So this just be open menu. So the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to start designing the mobile nav. And for the first thing that we have to do in the mobile nav is that we have to have an overlay, and this overlay is the dark background color, as you can see. Overlay is just like observe the body, so that it looks as if the navbar is on top of the body. So the next thing that we're going to have to do now is we're going to have the mobile nav actually. Then inside here we're going to have the image /images, and it's going to be the icon menu close. So icon menu close, and we can just call it close menu. Then the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to have the mobile nav container, and the mobile nav container is just to contain, just to separate this close menu from the mobile nav actually. So it's going to call mobile nav -con, or short for container. The next thing we're going to have to do, let's start designing the drop down. So the drop down mechanism is a little bit bulky in terms of the HTML, but let's continue. So drop down, what we're going to do is that we're going to target the drop btn. Then inside of this drop btn, we're going to have a features. Okay, as you can see there. Then we're going to have the image for the features, which is that arrow, as you can see there. Or let me show you again, this arrow. So these images, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say dot slash images, okay, not design, images, oops, slash, and this is going to be icon arrow up dot svg, and we can just give this an auto arrow up. So this is the drop down btn. After we have the drop down btn, we also have to have the drop down dash content, and this is the content for the drop down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an anchor tag, which is going to go to nowhere. Then we're going to have an image, and this image is for the icon. So if you can see here, what I'll just do in the toolbar is that we have this, and this is the icon here. Then to do this, you know that this thing is flexed, just so that you know. So we're going to have images slash images slash icon to do dot svg. Then close that. Then say to do list. Copy paste. Then this is going to be calendar. Then calendar. You know what? Let's view this in a live server. Okay, that's looking good. So what the next thing that we're going to have to do is let's keep on copying and duplicating. So instead of calendar, the next one is going to be reminders. So reminders as well as reminders. So what we're going to do next is planning. So planning, finally, then planning. Sorry guys. Okay, so now that I have auto save on. If you look at this, you can see we have everything, the mobile app, everything is a tag, everything is coming up very nicely and very oddly. So next thing I'm going to do is that let's design the drop down for the company. You know that it's only two that have the drop down. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to design the drop down for the company, and this is way more simplistic compared to this one. So outside of this drop down div, I'm going to say drop down. Then inside of this drop down, what we have to do is that we're going to have the drop down btn. We're going to have the drop down btn. So the drop btn, sorry. So inside of this drop btn, we're going to have the company, then image slash, which is going to be this arrow open image, as you can see here. Okay, then after that, what we have to do, as I said, we also have to have drop down content. Okay, drop down content. So drop down dash content. So I'm gonna have so I'm just gonna have. So the first one is just, there's no images here, just history, copy, and the next one is our team copy. But the next one is blog. So I think we are finally done with the mobile app. I think we are finally done. Oh wait, we're not done. There's one last thing, and that last thing is to a tag career, then a tag about. Those ones, they don't have drop down, so they are just empty. About. So that's it for the mobile navigation. So now let's start with the desktop navigation. So outside the div of overlay, so here we're gonna outside the div of overlay. So this is where the overlay div ends. So outside all those divs, what we want to do is that we want to have the desktop navigation. So to do this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this class of nav UL. Then I know this is not a UL tag. I just like to make, normally use UL tags, but for this reason I wanted to use a div, and it's going to be almost the exact same thing here. So let's just copy paste the drop down for the features. So look at where it ends. So it ends here. Copy. Then we paste this. By the way, let's do some space here so that we don't confuse the HTML. Then next down, the drop down for the company. Yeah, you might be asking there, but why can't we not just have one nav then convert it to? No, we cannot, because there's something on the desktop nav that isn't there on the mobile nav, and the layout, the way we flex the desktop nav is different. So that's why it will be less stressful for us to just have two different nav. Then finally, we're gonna copy and paste this. Paste. Then what we're gonna have that isn't there is nav btn. So yeah, login and register. So button, login, copy, register. Okay, so I've done all the heavy lifting for that. So after I told you that the navbar is the most difficult thing there, so I've done the heavy lifting. So what we have to do next is that we have to target the hero section. So let's remove it. So the hero section is just that make remote work. So hero is it's gonna be simple, right? So as you know, we're gonna have two different deals, which is gonna be the hero text and for the hero image. Because this is so we're not gonna be using Flexbox, we're gonna be using CSS Grid. No, we normally use Flexbox, but CSS Grid is awesome. Now I want to get more practice with it because I also use Flexbox every single time. So for the I'm also putting a break tag because that's going to be way easier of using span, Flexbox, or any other jazz like that. So when we now get to move by, I'm not going to give the break tag a display of move. So after I've done that, we're just going to have two last things, which is going to be a button of learn more. And finally, we're going to have a div of logos, and this is going to have all our logos. So we're going to image source / images to client this, copy paste. Then the next one is client, copy paste. Next one is client marker, copy paste. The next one is client meet. So like that, we are done with the HTML. Wait. We are done with the hero text. The final thing that we have to do, you guys might think we're going to use a background image, but absolutely we're not going to use a background image. We're just going to use one secret property to change the image when it gets to desktop. So image, I'm just having an image container, then images, then the image is image hero. You know there are two, and people use background images, but we're not going to use a background image. And we can even give this an ID section, ID of hero - image. Okay, so I think we are done with the HTML. That was a lot of work. Okay, as you can see, we get this ginormous image. So let's get to work. We have a lot of work to do, guys. Style.css. Okay, so let's get on with the CSS. So I'm just gonna make the new file of CSS right inside of here. So I'm gonna say new file style.css, and notice that I already linked it up. So the next thing, so what I'm gonna do for the style.css, so let's start making that navigation. So the style.css is quite long, guys, so just be, I said you're in for a ride. So I'm just going to like put this over here and put this over here so that we can see the effects of the styling side by side. So now first thing I'm going to do is that nav URL, which is a div. Remember, I just gave it that margin 0, list style of none. Okay. Oh, wait a minute, we don't have to give it a list style of none. Let me know that it was first a URL when I was trying to do this space flex. So padding 0. The next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to target it now. So the nav, we're going to give it a display of flex. I know everything might just look confusing because you know there's a mobile nav and there's a desktop nav. You know everything will definitely look confusing. But to make it not look confusing, the overlay, everything inside the overlay, it just gives a display of none for now. Okay, so now we just have the mobile, we just have everything on the desktop now. So everything This is the drop down for the features, drop down for the company, and careers and about. Careers and about is not on the it's not on the design for desktop. I don't think so. Let's look at the design. Okay, yeah, careers about a minute. So next thing that we're gonna do, display flex. Then we're gonna finally give it an align items of center. We're gonna give it a justify content of space around. So the first thing before we start, let's start the drop down first of all, because the drop down is making everything look quite messed up. So let's start the drop down first. So the drop down, when you're styling drop downs, you have to give them a position of relative. So first thing, position of relative, and display inline block. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to target the drop down content. So for the drop down dash content, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a border radius of 10 pixels, a padding of 20 pixels for some quite adequate spacing, a display of none, a position of absolute. Remember that we give it a position of relative. The reason why I'm giving it position of absolute, so that we don't know the position of the element. So wherever it's going to be relatively positioned to wherever the element is. Background. Then width, we're going to give it a width of 120 pixels. Remember, the drop down content is just you know, it's everything that, let me not give it a display of none. Save this. It's all this stuff right here. This is what the drop down content is. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a box shadow and a transition. Also, we're also going to give this a Z index. So Z index is just a property to just make it when two elements are on top of another element, just a property to make this one stand out. And one other thing that we also have to do is that all these A tags, we also want to give them a like text decoration, color black. That's not so that we don't have that. And notice that you can see that harm is there, and we don't also want the harm to be there. So let's also give the harm a display of none. Display none, which is that guy here. So let's continue styling, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a box shadow. So box shadow. The box shadow is just a drop down shadow. I can't explain it more than that. So 16 pixels, 0 pixels, RGB A0. This is what I'm going to give it 0. This is just a color. This is just a very faint color. And this is what is mostly given to all box shadows, 0. And the alpha is now 0.1 or 0.2. So in this case, I'm going to give it 0.2. So as you can see that our drop down content is coming out pretty nice. So let's just leave this for later. Display none. Let's be styling the navbar, then we'll get to that. Okay. I don't want to just do that so that everything will come out and look a little bit more better. So after I've given it that color, the next thing I'm going to target is the nav btn. So nav dash btns button nth of child 1. So this is just a way to target the first button. So we're going to give this a border of none, because the first button is the login button and we don't want it to have a border. So outline is also none. Well, then background color of transparent. Let's check our HTML, because this is where the nav btns are. Okay, nav btn. Supposed to be nav btns. So that's easy. We just targeted the nav. Just targeted nav btns and the button inside there, the first one. What we're going to do to the second one, nav btn button nth of child 2. What we're going to do for this one is that we're going to give it an outline of none, a border of none. Then what we're going to do is we're going to give it a padding of 10 pixels, 25 pixels. These are important where you're styling buttons. And we also have to give them a border radius of 10 pixels. So save this. You can see it has that rounded corners. Then what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to give it a border of 1 pixel solid black. So 1 pixel solid black. Then we're going to give it a background color of transparent. Okay, so we have nicely styled that button. So let's continue on with styling the nav because we're not done with the nav yet. So the next thing that we're going to do is that we want to give also most of all the is we want to give them a margin of 10 pixels. So a margin of 10 pixels, and we also want to give the A's a display of inline block too. Display of inline block. So let's get to styling the hero content. We'll come back to the details in the navbar later as well. So font size for the H1 is going to be 70 pixels. Then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to give the H1 a width of 500 pixels. As you can see, it looks more like the H1. Then the hero. So the hero, for the hero, what do we want to do? The hero I said we're going to be using CSS grid, display grid, and the grid we're going to have to create columns. So template column. If you do want to learn on how to master your grid and then grid, I have a testimonial project which will teach you some secrets of CSS grid. Go and check it out, and I'll leave the video for that in the description. So we can see that it created 2 grids. This is how we create 2 grids. Repeat to our 450 pixels. So each of them now is 450 pixels. So we also want to give them a gap of 80 pixels. Let's continue. After I've given them a gap of, okay, that's a good column. Sorry, grid gap 80 pixels. Grid gap 80 pixels. Mistake. Then we want to give it a max width of 1200 pixels. Then we want to justify and alight. So we can also use justify content center and line item center, even though we are not using Flexbox here, but it also works with CSS grid. So what we have to do is that image is annoying. So to control that image and make the image responsible, we're going to have to give this guy a width of 100%. So I target the image is going to take up 100% of its container, and its container is taking 450 pixels. Okay, that's nice. Also, justify content center. Let's also give it some other align item center. And we also want to give it a margin of 0 pixel auto. So margin 0 auto. Nice. So those logos, so the div class of those logos that has all those logos, what do we want to do to them? Simple. What we just have and have to do is that we just have to just give them a margin top. We also want to give them a display of flex there. It's like 80 pixels. Then we want to give them a display of flex. Justify content, no. Align items center. Then these align items we should make sure so that they are vertically aligned center. Space around. To space them around. Sure. So the next thing that we're going to have to do is that we're going to give the hero button some certain styles as well. So for the hero button, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a margin top of 40 pixels, a border of none, an outline of none. Then we're also going to give it a background color of black, Save. As you can see now, it's background color of black. As I said, don't forget to what is the secret weapon for styling the button is padding. Okay, padding 15 pixels, 25 pixels. Then after I've given it that padding, you have to give it a border radius, and the border radius that we're going to give it here is 10 pixels. So I also added an animation for the button. The button also has a hover state. I'm also going to give this button a font size of 15 pixels. Buttons are stubborn. Even if I give the body a font size of 15 pixels, some of them I know even take. So hero button, and this is going to be for the hover state. We also want to give it a transition. So transition is just going to make the properties animate over time. If you want to see a video on transition, I have a video called 5 amazing useful CSS properties. Check about transition there. As you can see the way it transition in. So the next thing we're going to do is for the hover state, we're going to give it a background color of transparent, a border of 1 pixel solid black, a border of 1 pixel solid black, and a color of gray. Also a font family of bold. So font family bold. Then finally, let's just give it transition of 1. Save. And we might, okay, maybe no color. That's a gray, black. No, I think it's gray. Save. And we also want to give it a cursor of pointer. So cursor pointer. Nice. So this hasn't been easy, right? So I know it's quite difficult. The challenge is not easy. So let's continue styling. We have pretty much styled almost everything. So for the desktop view, but when we get to the mobile view, there's a lot of tricky things that we have to do there. So let's continue styling the drop-down content as it's not perfect at the moment. So this Navbar, some strange things are happening here. We gave the nav UL a display of flex, right? And that nav UL holds a lot of things. We also gave the Navbar display of flex and justify. So let's just open the developer tools and see what is wrong. You can see the developer tools is a nice way to transfer through your distance. So I see the problem. The carriers and abouts are not inside the div of nav, and that is a huge problem, as for that is going to mess up our flexbox flow. So I think the carriers and abouts is not inside the div of nav UL, and that's very wrong. Very wrong. So let's change this issue right now. X this. So that's nicely done. So that was dodge the bullet there. Let's remove this display inline block. I will make a video talking about display of inline block and what it does. So for now, let's just give this guy a display of inline. The difference between display of inline block, this is a very common question, is that display, when you give an anchor to a display of inline, it's inline, right? Well, it also affects the margin. So if you give it margin of 10 pixels, auto just affect side and bottom and not the rest. The margin is not affecting these two guys. That's what is making me go crazy right now. So let's check. Drop BTN. Okay, these guys are deal. Let's change them to A. Make our life easier. So as you can see, it's affecting it, but so the they are not uniform, as you can see here. So if we open into the nav UL, as you can see, we open everything up, maybe we should just give it an align items of center. So that's what align items to center it vertically, and that does it perfectly. So just come here, give it an align item of center. So with this should be like concluding what we have for done for the desktop view. Desktop view should be pretty much done. Okay, so now let's get into the tricky parts. Okay, the tricky parts, and also this drop down. So let's get that working. So let's get into the tricky parts. Okay, so what we are going to do now is that firstly, I'll start the drop down content here. We also want to start the drop down content. Let's not give the drop down content a display of none for now, because we want to see how it looks. Although by default it has a display of none. Let's just drag the drop down content and the drop down away from there, so that, because these are just going to be styles for the drop down content. As well as let's also remove the display of none, as you can see that there. Nicely done. So for the drop down content, we're going to target the anchor tag inside there. And for the anchor tag, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a color of black. And after we give it a color of black, we also want to give it a margin among themselves, because everything looks so stiff. Okay, sorry guys, not margin, pardon, my bad. After giving it that amount of padding, we've taken away the text decoration. Let's give it a display of flex. So why are we giving it display of flex? The reason why I'm giving it display of flex is because there's an image and a to-do list inside of here, and that's all inside the anchor tag. Next thing, align and center. Justified content space between. Instead of giving it this, I think the padding that we are giving it on this drop down content is quite too much. Can you see? Let's make it 10 pixels, 12 pixels. Okay, so that's way less now. So we don't want to give it too much padding as well. So we want to give it too much padding. So what I'm going to do, drop down content image. What I'm going to do to this image, I'm going to give it a margin right of 10 pixels, or rather 5 pixels. This image here, we're just giving it a margin right of 5 pixels to space it up a little bit. But you know what, 10 pixels. And for that, let's just remove the justified content space between. Nicely done. You can see that they overlap on each other, but they will not be open at the same time. That's the trick behind it. Just add a little bit of a hover state here. What we're going to do is we're going to say drop down content A hover. So the A are the individual leaves, guys. So what we want to do to these guys is that we want to give it a background color, just like a darkened background color. Or to even make it even cooler, just give it an opacity property. Opacity 0.7. And we don't, okay, let's save it and see how this looks. And this one is a bit dormant. I prefer to give it a background color. So let's give it a background color. So background color is DDD. Very nice color for this. You can see better. It helps the user to enable that. It tells you that you are currently hovering over the image. So here comes the way tricky part. The tricky part here is that how are we going to make this toggle on and off with only CSS? So we're going to say drop down hover. So be with me here. Drop down hover dot drop down content. So when the drop down, the entire drop down is hovered, we are targeting the drop down content. We're going to give it a display of block. So right now we'll give it a display of none. Save. So when we hover, display block, as you can see. Nice. Good. also want to give it a certain animation, but that animation, maybe we might skip it just to make the video a little bit not long, because the animation is also quite long. So, but you will see the animation in the source code, definitely, for sure. So now that I've done the drop downs, as you can see, now our drop downs are certainly working easily. But you can see that the arrow is not flipping up when we hover over them. That's just a small thing, by the way, but we'll fix that later on. So let's start making up the mobile responsive. So for the media queries, this is not going to be easy, guys. Not going to be easy. Let's go. First of all, what we want to do is that max width. One, the way I advise people to write their max width and media query, because this is important for CSS specificity, is that the lowest ones are supposed to be at the top, right? So the highest ones are supposed to be at the top, then the lowest ones are supposed to be at the bottom, because the lowest one at the bottom so that they can take effect when they get to that 900 pixels. So the big one, what I'm going to do, max width 1200 pixels. What we want to do, that you can see that when I told you that it shrinked, what we just have to just simply do on the hero is that we have to just reduce the max width, make it 960 pixels. Then we also want to give it a grid template column. You know, each individual column was what was it again? It was 450 pixels, but now it's just going to be 400 pixels because we have reduced the amount of this in there. So let's check it now. Let's check it now. Let's check it now. Sorry, my monitor is this. Oh damn it, sorry guys. Let's check it now. So when we go below 1200 pixels, it shrinks there. Nice. The next media query, that's just what we want to just do for 1200 pixels. Max width. I hope you do understand media queries though. So max width 100 pixels is what I'm saying when the device viewport is less than 1200 pixels. As I've told you, as a pro tip, write your media queries the highest one in order of which one is the highest. Okay. So the nav btns, what we have to do here is that the nav btns, I told you they are not on the desktop ones, they are not the mobile one. Those btns, we are going to give them a display of none. The first thing I want to do, display none. Then the nav well, because that guy is not inside the nav, so nav display none. When we get below 900 pixels, so that guy goes display none. Nicely done. What we also want to do is that we want to make the ham, we want to give it a display of block, so we can see our hamburger navigation display block. Nicely done. The hero, what we want to do to the hero is that we don't want it to be 2 columns again, we want it to be 1 column. So first of all, we have to give it a margin of 50 pixels. That is quite large. Max width of 1200 pixels. Nope, 1200 pixels is still too much. 960 pixels. Grid template columns. What we're going to do is that we're going to make it repeat. So I'm going to say grid template columns repeat 1. We're going to repeat once. And what we're going to do is I'm going to give it a function here. So max. This max is the maximum or minimum. So the minimum, we want it to be minimum of 200 pixels, maximum of 350 pixels. You can see the way it changes, but you can see that the image is on top, not at the bottom. So to fix this is that there are something called grid lines, and the first grid line starts from here. So what we just simply do is that we just have to just make it start from there. We'll just simply say grid row. In flex boxes will be flex direction colon reverse, but this is just going to be grid row 1. Okay. So next thing I also want to do is I also want to change the image. So image dash container image. Remember there's another image which is the ham. Content URL. This is how we change the source of an image. Images / image mobile. We have the same problems. Just give it a width of 100%. Stubborn images. Okay, I don't know why this guy is not taking up width of 100%. Let's make it max width. Good. But we're still gonna make some adjustments though. As you can see, it has that space, but it's not taking up that max width of 100%. So let's continue. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give the hero text, the hero dash text, a text align off center. I'm going to give it a text align of center. Just checking how long I've been here. 6 minutes. That's long. Hero button. What we're going to do for the hero button, we want to take away the margin. Remember, unless this H1 is being stubborn, so we're going to reduce the size of the H1 as long as other many things. So let's continue. The logos, no, not the logos, the H1, right? The H1, we're going to give this a font size of 30 pixels, a margin of 0, because we don't want to, a width of 100%, then a text align of center. Save. That's a good looking H1. A break tag display, and we're going to give it break tag display none. Good looking H1. Hey, so this is where the tricky part comes in. The trickiest part comes in. So as you can see, when we go to, I told you the Frontend mental specification is 375. It looks pretty good on 375. Let's just be using that to code along with 375. Good. So let's continue. Now let's go to the guy that we just forgot. Mobile dash now. Here at this point, we don't want it to be hidden. We want it to be display of flex. But why don't we not see the mobile now? Let's check up. As you can see, we have mobile now. We are giving it a display of none somewhere. Okay, we gave the entire overlay display of none. I think that's not what I was supposed to do here. We can just put a comma / overlay display flex. You can see that looks like a complete mess. So let's start. So we have a lot of work to do. Overlay. Wait a minute. The overlay should not have a display of flex. First of all, overlay. We don't want their styles to be the same. We want different styles. So display flex here. And what I'm gonna do next is that I'm gonna say flex direction, not float. Flex direction colon position absolute. So that strips it away from the normal document flow. We're going to position it to top 40 pixels. That's somewhere around in the top. And we still have a handful of properties left. Background color white. Padding of 20 pixels. That this is here. The guy's just being shy. It's going to come out. Width of 300 pixels. As they keep on going inside. Okay, let's continue. Height of 100 view height. And then this is why I always emphasize my align center. Okay, now you see that guy is well behaved now. What a gentleman. Okay. Next thing that we're gonna do is that's good. The guy's good. That's good to go. So let's continue styling. So what I'm gonna do, we also want to give the A tags a margin of 0. But before we do that, I told you that there's a mobile nav dash con or container that has everything except for that icon of bad. So that close icon, I call it bad. I'm gonna give this guy a display of flex. Flex direction colon with 100% And justify content end. The way I'm giving justify content end so that it should start around somewhere here. And again, the carriers and about are not inside of that guy. So let's go there. Mobile nav container, mobile nav container. Let's toss these two guys inside of there. Mobile nav container, toss these two guys inside of there. Justify content end is going to make it start from here. That's what we want. Nicely finished. And in case that does anyhow, just as a fail safe, text align left, just in case. In case it is. So let's just give all the A's a margin of 0. A margin of 0. Then for everything, the way we're gonna give everything in the mobile container. Everything in the mobile container less than everything that this sign means everything in the mobile container. This sign means everything general. We're not putting a less than for everything in the mobile container. We're gonna give this a padding. Boom. So everything is coming properly. It's kind of conflicting with the hero section in a way. So let's make the guy come out a little bit. So left 0. Oops. Right 0. Width, instead of giving width 300 pixels, let's give it with 75%. No, 25%. 45%. And so one last thing, and there's this guy. Let's look at the design again so that we just know what we're building towards here. You can see that this guy is somewhere around here. Well, I'm gonna give everything in the mobile now. Text align right. Text align right. Dash. Wait. No text align right. You want to target the image. So the mobile now image. Text align right. Text align right. For some reason, centered. Align items. Flex end. Okay, good. Okay, so now that we're almost done with that guy, we want to be able to toggle it. Wait, there's one last small detail that we haven't finished. This guy should take up all the width. So let's come to the developer tools and let's see what's being fishy here. Let's fish out the fishiness. So in the overlay, we also want the height to be 100%. Height to be 100 view height. So the reason why it's not taking up everything is that we're not giving the overlay 100 view height. Maybe the overlay can okay. Okay, let's continue styling this. So the overlay, there are some certain styles that we want to do only for the overlay div. So for the overlay, what we have to do is I'm going to give this overlay, save it, refresh, overlay. Remember, it's the overlay that we're going to position that is going to have that dark background color. Because that dark background color is what then we're going to use to have that dark effect. So the overlay should have a width of 100%, a height of 100 view height. Okay, this is where things get a little bit more messy. And to do this, let's just give it a background color of transparent. A technical problem. But no worries, we'll come back to this mobile navigation in a second, because mobile navigation is, as I've said, is tricky. So we'll definitely come back to it in a second. So let's make this guy toggle off and on. So to do that, what we have to do is define a show class. So dot show. So this show class is what we want to apply to any elements that, as in, this guy is going to be locked. It's going to give it a display of none by default. Okay. So it's going to be display none. So this is the show class that will toggle everything back together. What we'll do here is I will give it a display flex, a width of 180 pixels. And by the way, this is our mobile nav container. What is the width of this guy? 45%. I just figured out that the width should be about 180 pixels. I know it does not go all the way down, but don't worry, we'll fix that. We also want to define a lock class, and this lock class will allow us not able to scroll down but to the body. So lock class, we're going to say overflow hidden. So let's make that guy work, and to start, we're going to give this guy a display of none. Display none. The nav bar here, we just want to apply minimum styles. Nav, just give it a display flex. Justify content space between now. Why is it not spacing between? Width 100% does not fix that. Okay, it might be because of the overlay div, but the overlay div is somehow affecting the nav. So this overlay div display none at the minute. So for now, what we just want to do, when we click up that nav, we want that guy to slide in. So to make that guy work, we're going to apply a little bit of JavaScript. JavaScript here is very simple. So JavaScript that we're applying is not one type of extremely complex JavaScript, just very, very simple JavaScript. So I'm going to say constant ham. I'm going to select that ham, which is the toggler. Document going to be equal to document.query selector, and we're going to target the dot ham. We also want to select some other things as well, actually. So the other things as well that we want to select are, give me a second first. Sorry for that, guys. I'm just sorry. Ham.add event listener. So what do we want to do when this ham is clicked? What we do want to say is that what this ham is clicked, we want to say mobile nav. We want to select the mobile nav document or query selector mobile dash nav dot mobile nav okay. So we're gonna say mobile nav add event listener, then dot class list. We define that show class. The class list dot add show. So We click. We click. Well, probably having one type of weird error here. Let's just type ham. Okay, so we're selecting it correctly. Then if it's not that, what it means is that we're not selecting our mobile nav correctly. Copy. Or to be absolutely sure, let's check the mobile nav. So mobile nav, inside the overlay, mobile nav, it has that class of show. It has that class, but the overlay has that class of show. If we come to our style.css right now, you can see that we're giving the mobile nav a display of none. What we just want to just do in the show. We'll save this. Let's try this again. Maybe let's put an important decorator here. Damn it, it's not working. I think it's because of the fact that we also have to still make the overlay present as well, because we can't, as you can see, it's already working. We don't have to give it important. Important is bad enough, but you're not supposed to use important anyhow. Because important, you only use important when you're doing CSS library. It's not bad code. That you don't use it all the time. It's not properly. If you are using it at too much, that's when it becomes wrong. So dot overlay dot class list dot add as well. So we also want to add the overlay a class list of no, we don't want to add any class really, but let's just give it a style or display of block. Okay, cool. But the next thing we're gonna have to do is that when we click on this bad, we want it to go away. Not bad actually, close menu. That's what we just call when I was. Okay, so what is that? What element is that? So if we go up to our mobile now, that is instead of alt close menu, ID close menu. So let's save that. So let's select that, and let's just give this a something to just tie it all together. Copy that. Now that we have the ID, what we can just do by saying select it, document.query selector. I love using query selector. Put the hash because it's an ID. If we were using getElement.id, we wouldn't have to do that. Then add an event now. So when this guy is clicked, what do we want to do? Well, simply what we just want to do is that we just want to just reverse everything that we just did here. We just want to just reverse the style. And one also thing that I also want to tell you guys is that we also want to give the body a class list of lock, so that the body does not. How do I put this? So the body does not scroll anymore. Lock. Copy. Then we're going to remove. Instead of add, remove. I'm going to remove. I said we're just doing the opposite. Instead of add, remove. Instead of display box, display none. Save. Boom. 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 Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely done. So that overlay, now you have probably been able to do that, but there are some things that are not done right. So let's correct them. So first of all, the overlay should also have a background color of like RGB 0.1. You know what I think we should just do is that we should just move the mobile nav out of the navbar, because there it will be much easier for us to do what we want to do. Let's just move it out of the navbar, because it doesn't have to be in the navbar. Move it out of the navbar, put it here. Save. Nicely done. So now that I've moved it out of the navbar, we can give the overlay a width of 100% without it affecting it. So width 100%, height 100, view height. Save. That is half complete. You don't want to be way darker though. Maybe 0.8. We look at it here, and it's not that too dark anymore. It's position absolutely on top of the blade. Position absolute. So that absolutely position allows it to rest on top of the body. Weight, height 100%, width 100%. Let's see what we have to do again. Let's darken the color. Darken it a little bit. You can see there's also something that is making it not able to, was not able to take up the full height, and this is annoying, maybe due to some padding or margin issues. So let's go to the overlay. You should always become very conversant with your developer tools. They are very important. So to the nav container, to this nav, instead of, let's give it height 100%. Then why is that? Why is there a space here? Okay, we're giving it top 0, top 40 pixels. Now let's give it top 0. As you can see, if you look at it here, it takes up every single thing. Top 0 pixels. In fact, we might even have to even go bigger than that. Top minus 200 pixels. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Top minus 10 pixels. And as well for this overlay as well, it should still start from top 0, so that so that's also what we want. You can see it's very identical. And one thing that it doesn't have to take up all the width, it just has to just be like this. Then we'll lock it so that the person cannot scroll again. So I thought we divide a class of lock. So let me just Control F that. I'm going to say lock. Okay, lock, overflow hidden. Okay, so it's just makes it that it does not scroll again. So let's just, instead of using document or body, let's use it normally. Document or query selector. I really thought that would work. Body. Your query selector. Body. So we're just adding that lock class. Open it now. We're not supposed to be able to scroll. Let's inspect whether the body, it has a class. Okay, we're adding dot lock. We're not supposed to add dot lock. Boom. Can't scroll anymore again. Cannot scroll. This is disabling us from scrolling. This margin there is due to the body margin. So the body by default is not supposed to have any margin. So body margin 0. Okay, good. Refresh. Let's refresh this. Peru. Why does everything go white? Okay, because we gave the overflow a display of none. I think that's why everything just goes white. Okay, so to fix this behavior, let's go Y on everything is going Y. So the overlay now, as you can see, is not showing by default, and that is because it has a display of none, right? Because if we come here and we give it a display of block, as you can see, it will start showing and to overlay. That's nice. So we're trying to understand why that behavior is happening when we close it. The mobile nav, we remove the class of show. which we previously added. Then we remove the class of lock. So I don't get why it should be, why the whole body will just go white. It's like as if it removed the body out of the element. Okay, you say dot remove. Okay, removes. It removes the method that removes stuff out of the DOM. What will be dot class list dot remove, sorry. So we type this, boom, boom, boom. So that is it for this tutorial, guys. This thing was a bit hard. It was very hard. It was not easy. But let's do a quick test on it and make sure that everything is good. Our design is nice. It's okay, very nice. But these knobs though, they are flush stopped, so we'll just fix that. But apart from that, you can see our knobs nice. We can come here, we can go out, we can go remove. We can, oh, so this is beautiful. Everything is nicely done. So just that knob, let's just give that knob a padding. So the knob on only on mobile, just one. So now padding, because it's flushed up, 20 pixels. Nicely done. So we have destroyed this challenge. You can submit it to Frontend method. I've already submitted mine. Thank you guys for watching. This challenge was long. Please subscribe, like. We learned a lot of things in this video, so please subscribe, like, and catch you in the next one, guys.